Okay. Poal otsaros, bilshon shaker, hevel nidaf mivakshe mavis. Yeah, not easy. So you say you looked at it, right?
I mean,
You want to give it a stab?
sure. Someone who works for houses.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. Yeah, I'm gonna actually. Okay, I'm actually gonna call it treasuries because I think we're talking about money, right? I guess it doesn't have to be money, but yeah.
Like banks.
Yeah, like banks. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, you mean even for here? Yeah. All right, fine. So let's do is bank, food bank, and money
also
bank.
have a connotation of like wealth.
It does have the connotation of wealth, right? But it could also be it could also be like storehouses of grain.
Oh, okay,
That's what the people here are saying. I mean, it's true, but yeah. Okay, fine. So all right, well, let's do this. Okay, let's do treasuries or storehouses. What do you say?
Storage units.
Storage units. Yeah, I'll do storehouses. Okay. Yeah.
With a ton of falsehood.
Yep. All right, here comes the difficult part, right?
Yeah.
Hevel nidaf mevakshe mavis.
Like,
yeah. So hevel literally means breath.
Yeah.
Okay. Actually, you know what I'm gonna do? Here, pass that down.
Where you're talking from, honestly, everything came out of nowhere just now.
Okay. Thank you. I wouldn't have noticed, but okay, yeah. So hevel, so literally means breath, right? Which I'll put that in the literal thing, breath. And figuratively, or what's the other common translation? I guess nothingness, yeah, right. So nothingness, nidaf.
is not, or is like.
Yeah, so nidaf is a hard word to translate. You got the all Torah translation that says to drive or to drive asunder, which is not really how we talk in English. Spread, to be diffused, disseminated, to beat, to throw, to hurl. Okay, so there's that. And if you look at them too, ציון, nidaf inyan dechifa muka. Dechifa means pushed or shoved, and then muka is like beat or stricken, So I feel like nothingness, like we got to get some word in English that means nothingness, that's like pushed aside or beaten or cast off or something like that.
It's nidfall, right? It's not like.
Yeah, I think it's nidfall. Yeah, because pushed off nothingness just sounds weird, right?
Discarded.
Discarded is to throw, is like thrown away. This is like you have to have some beat, like punching or like violence. Pummeled nothingness. That's good, right? Okay, pummeled nothingness. We'll see if it fits, but I like it for now, right? Pummeled nothingness. Seekers of death. Yeah, very, very strange pasuk. Okay, fine. All right, Sadi Gaon has hachanas haotsaros minha devarim hamavatlim. Okay, so I didn't quite get what Sadi Gaon meant, and I looked at his commentary, also didn't get what he meant, so I'll just translate it. So hachanas haotsaros, preparation of storehouses, min hadvarim hamavatlim. Is that what yours says in the or it says batalim? I might have mistyped this. Batalim. Okay, yeah, all right, yeah. I remember reading it. I guess I just mistyped it. Yeah. And just to recap here, with so I used to be of the opinion that in Mishlei there is no such thing as order, because the psukim go like from topic to topic, but it does sound, the more I've learned Mishlei in order, the more I've seen that like the Mefarshim say that there is some loose associative order, and sometimes they connect. What are you looking for?
That's enough, just because I want to be able to call
Yonder. Green.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Preparation of storehouses from Devarim Habatalim, right? Was it Devarim Batalim? How would you have the Devarim Batalim in isolation? Like,
No useless things.
yeah, useless things. Yeah. What do you say?
No.
Yeah, null objects is good, right? From useless useless things, or like null objects. Yeah, it's good actually. Devarim Batalim is a good like neutral technical term. Hakol nidaf mivakshe hamaves. All of them, I guess. Hevel?
Yeah, Hevel.
Oh, interesting. Hevel nidaf. Hevel nidaf, that makes more sense. What did we say? Pummeled nothingness from seekers of death. So what he does basically is he's adding the word preparation. Okay. He's also adding the phrase useless things, which is weird because that has nothing to do with like lashon sheker, right? I mean, he just kind of takes out the word lashon sheker and puts in useless things, right? And then from seekers of death. No idea what's going on there. And I started to look up the Targum, but we're just going to skip it today because I'm not in the mood. Okay. All right. Our scroll says the accumulation of treasures through a false tongue is a smitten vapor. I feel like smitten has like a, I know you can like smite somebody, but smitten is like also like a romantic connotation, right? Like she was smitten, you know? So I don't like that. They seek death. Isn't this a weird way that they put a semicolon all the way at the end, right? Even though the asnachta is here. So I don't know where they get that. Living Nach says treasures earned by a lying tongue are like a windswept mist. So hevel does also mean vapor.
Yeah, this is oh, I guess yes. Smitten vapor. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
That's poetic right there.
Yeah. And then altar says attaining treasures with a lying tongue is vanished breath. So that's like pushed away, right? That's kind of like you were saying, discarded, and snares of death. I bet snare. It's not really snares of death. I think he's translating almost like it says mokshe mavis, you know.
So what's the difference between hevel breath and like ruach breath?
Hevel is that's a good question. Hevel is like that's a good question. Because hevel means vapor and is referring to the actual substance of the breath.
Like a steam that comes
Yeah,
off.
steam. Yeah, like they also talk about like
When it's really
hevel.
cold and you can
Yeah,
steam.
exactly. Yeah. I don't really know what the difference is when you're using it both to mean breath though. Like
Yeah, whereas ruach.
like for example, like we had the thing in the Rambam, I don't know who was here. The world is only sustained by the breath of school kids, like learning.
It almost sounds to me like
Hevel
ruach
PM
is
shows me
the
to
kind of
should be wrong.
breath that comes in because it's like life-giving. Like so it's more about like the one that you benefit from, whereas hevel is like the
I get that sense also. Yeah, I mean, it does say the pasuk does say vayipech be'pav. No, that's
whereas what makes it a vapor because
Yeah.
you don't the breathing in one
Right,
you don't
yeah.
see the vapor.
yeah. I'm not so sure when it comes to like connotations like that. Yeah, we're gonna say. Jacob? All right, so let's do questions here. Let's get rid of our scroll. Not such a fan of that one. Windswept. Okay, let's just get rid of these and have them in mind. Okay, like in case we just be very flexible, I guess, with the whole hevel need off because we don't really know what that is. All right, what are the questions in there? There are a lot, I'm sure.
What is a pole?
What is what?
This literally what is a pole?
Yeah, what is a poel otros, right? So I guess let's do this. Let's break them into two questions. Okay, what are the otros? Okay, and I think the two common meanings are grain, money, something else. Okay.
Treasures, which I guess could be pretty broad. They could
Yeah.
treasures.
Yeah,
What is the
that's
tongue
why I
of
wanted to
falsehood?
translate it as treasuries. What was that, Isaac?
What is a tongue of falsehood?
Right. Okay. So we had Yaakov saying, what is a poel otros? I'm sorry, poel otros. And then what is a tongue lashon sheker? Yeah.
It's what our hevel need of for
Yep.
production.
Yeah, there's a lot of terminology here. Okay, what is the mashal of hevel nidaf? Oops, sorry, hevel nidaf. And I am assuming it's a mashal. I don't think it's literally. I don't think we can take that literally, right? So I'm comfortable saying it's a mashal. What are the? So what is mavakshe maves referring to?
So it's
And then
literally-
how do you even read it into the pasuk, right? In other words, is it saying that the like look at all the objects in the pasuk? Poel, otros, lashon sheker, hevel nidaf. So which one of those four things is the mavakshe maves? Right? Like I think all of them are candidates. I mean, I know it says plural, right? Hold on a second. Is it a description? Which of the four subjects in the pasuk is it a description of? Yeah,
So to hevel nida, you could learn it as being a predicated the first half of the pasuk,
Right.
or it be attached to the.
That's okay. Well, good. So how do you read this phrase into the pasuk? Is it a predicate of the first half, or is it the subject of mivakshe mavis? This is a tough pasuk. Yeah.
So I don't really understand how the pummeled nothingness and the secret of death, how is that like, brought upon them? Like those.
Yeah. Okay.
Are we reading it as it's brought upon them, or they will
So
like seek out?
good question. So let's ask the first part of your question as its own thing, which is how is this pummeling and death being brought about? Is that what you're asking? Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. And then what is being pummeled and killed? I'm just going to put that in one question, but just divide it into two because I think we kind of have to answer both of them together. Okay, good. Man, all right, so this is a tough one. I think those are pretty much all the questions because, yeah, right, yeah. So this is actually probably the easiest one, right? Who do you think the audience is? Yeah, probably this guy who's trying to use the poel otros b'lashon sheker, and this is telling him that if you try to do that, then something bad pummeling, something bad death pummeling.
Right.
Yeah. But we'll still ask it anyway in case like we need to know who is the audience. Okay, so in other words, presumably the poel otros b'lashon sheker, but can we be more specific? Yeah, Ali?
Yeah, I don't. It might be a question, but did Paul after adding like its own way, or it has to be with lunch and check?
Okay, that's a good question. Right. So let me add that to here. What is poel otros and in general, and what is a poel otros b'lashon sheker, and what is the difference? Is it Eli or Eli? Eli, fine. Okay, yeah.
Go by both.
You go, okay. Because I think once I asked you that when we first met, and I think someone originally told me Eli, and then I just got confused ever since then. So
Right.
yeah, fine.
I'd be fine with both.
If you go to the gym and then see what.
Why did this freeze? And it's just Word that froze because the puzzle is so hard. Refuses to cooperate. All right, well, at least it froze on the pasuk. Yeah. Hold on, let me just try. What was it? What am I doing even? I don't even know what I'm doing. I was gonna force shut it down, but I kind of don't want to now that I realize what that would mean because I don't know if it's saved.
Yeah.
Oh, it's good. It's good. Yay. Okay, good. Where's the difference? Yeah. Okay. Okay. So ideas. Yeah.
So it looks like I think it's just saying that if you go and you deal falsely in order to attain whatever you're attaining,
Yeah.
then this is a vain pursuit, and even those treasures that you're pursuing are like pursuing that's inherently going to deteriorate. It's like
Okay.
fool's gold,
Good. All right. So that I think is a solid place to start, and I feel like all the Mepharshim are probably going to take that type of thing for the first half, right? So the first half is someone who's trying to make money using falsehood, and it's not just some money; it's a lot of money, right? That's otros is a lot of money, or a lot of some other like goods, Say again?
Value.
Yeah, value, something that you would put in a treasury, right? And the second half is saying something about how it is hevel, right? Like it's a illusory or like not lasting. And then mavakshe mavis seems to imply some sort of harm, right?
So I think it's tied to the thing that you're like. It's almost like you deal in fool's gold, and you yourself, your fool's gold will like deteriorate upon you. Right? Not necessarily you like die in that moment, but it's like you put your faith in this. So you're just saying that where your heart is, that like there your treasures are also whatever, so there's an idea of like what you put your like kind of faith in something that's false is going to fail you.
Okay. So let's get a little bit more specific. Not that we have to commit to a particular example, but just let's give an example to work with at least, so we could try to like figure it out. So what would be an example of this Pol otros bilashon sheker. Yeah.
I was thinking of possibilities, and especially if you take the word "pol" literally, it's like
It's a weird word, right? Yeah.
worker's
Yeah,
storehouse.
right.
So that mean either that you're guarding the storehouse, or you're supposed to be accumulating something into it. So maybe it's talking about the situation like where someone's an employee of a like inventory.
Oh,
whatever,
that's interesting. Okay.
and he thinks that since he's the guy who
Ah.
interacts with it, he can just either steal some or I don't know, be
Okay.
lazy and not like guard it properly
Okay, good.
and get away with it since he's the guy who's like going in day in, day
Yeah.
out. Then saying no, you're not going to be able to get away with it. It's going to be heavily beat up. Like you're not going to keep that money and steal whatever.
Yeah.
And Vakshnavas, I don't know exactly what that means, but like you're going to end up losing even.
Okay, so I think now we have two distinct approaches here. Okay, so your approach was this is a guy who is trying to make a lot of money, like he's the producer of the storehouses or the owner of the storehouses, right? And you're saying a worker of the storehouses. Yeah.
He could just be stealing it. The point is that he's valuing something, but it's the methods are
through bad means.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so let me see if I can state it in a way that does encompass both, and I'll call you Nelly. Is that you're saying specifically a worker in a storehouse, right? I think that is different than some other interpretations that you can give. In other words, because I when I first saw it, I thought it was a guy who is trying to like make a lot of money through false means, through deceitful means. And I think making a lot of money versus working at a facility with a lot of money is two different like approaches we could take. Kelly?
This sounds familiar to something we did like one version ago with regarding like native stone.
Yes, right. The
Sort of deception.
yeah, right. It is a common theme in Mishlei of if you try to make profits through falsehood, then you're going to end up losing it, and it'll be harmful for you. And the fun thing is whenever you find a pasuk like that is to like recognize that that's the universal truth, but then to get the nuance it's saying here, it's like there, I think we had the idea that it was like the guy's trying to like, by like miscalibrating the thing just a little bit, he's trying to like rack up, profit in like a discrete way. This is like a different kind of theft, no matter which of the approaches that you take,
Yeah.
So
it
almost doesn't necessarily. It's almost like it's a part of it's to me. It feels almost like a value thing. Like even if what you're going for, like in like the finance or like in stocks.
Yeah.
Like people have gotten in trouble for over leveraging. Like they're not even good for how much they're leveraging.
Right.
And if it works out, okay, they get away with it. No one loses.
Right.
But when it does fail, then they can't cover their losses.
Yeah.
Then the whole thing comes down like a house of cards.
Right. So good example of that. Oh, sorry.
Well, I was saying, so the method is more the problem than even like what they were going after. It wasn't necessarily not a falsehood.
Yeah.
Going after, but they were acting like they were like, based off of a lie.
Okay, so two examples of that. One in modern world, and the other, which I'm going to try to come up with one that would have been true in the time of Shlomo HaMelech, is that anyone ever seen the movie The Big Short?
Yeah.
It's an amazing movie. If you have, so it's based on it's about the housing bubble, and amazing movie which also has a lot of chachma in it because it's the only movie. So this is gonna sound really weird. If you want to watch a movie about Yirmiyahu Hanavi, okay, yeah, right. So the movie is about basically this handful of different groups of small groups of people who saw this disaster coming. And no one else believed them, and no one else saw that it was happening, and like they had to like rely completely on their chachma in order to like and stay the course. Ooh, I thought that was going to be spilled there. And so it's an amazing thing. But there, I don't remember the details of the housing crisis, but it was that. It was basically people like building money off of things that were so both abstract and built on falsehood. That like the whole thing came down, yeah.
Lehman Brothers.
Yeah. So obviously I don't think they had that sophisticated of like financial schemes in the time of Shlomo HaMelech, but you could still picture people doing things like this of, let's say like I'm sure they had large scale trades or things based on like, we're going to discover gold if we like fund a certain expedition to
Right.
somewhere, and you could have these things where like the person is expecting a large return, and somehow along the line there's a falsehood that this is based on, and
False promises of like, yeah, sure, you keep giving us a
Right.
it's gonna bring back gold.
yeah, right. Or look, like another example of this, I think construction projects in the ancient world were also a big thing where like they would go on for decades, like literally decades.
Saying like falsehood.
I'm not saying false hope, I'm saying like actual lying,
Oh.
like that's because lashon sheker to me implies more that you're deliberately distorting the truth, yeah,
The construction project is a really good analogy because it happens today.
yeah,
Like in military installations,
yeah,
they have like a certain there's like a bidding wars, but for like who's gonna win a contract
Right.
for construction, but they can only hire certain types of companies.
Yeah.
Like, there are a lot of them are like state or like federal run like Caltrans or something like that.
yeah,
And so and they also know what their budget is, and then
Mhm.
like so they like milk them for like a
Yeah.
ton of money.
Yeah.
And then these guys like aren't even very trained.
yeah.
They take forever on the things. There's always some other problem, and military construction like takes forever. It's
Right.
horrible.
So that kind of is like in a good way, kind of bleeding into your idea of, or it can possibly be in your idea.
Exploiting a position.
Well, I was thinking more in terms of the people who are on the way, like who are involved in the project, find ways to skim off
Yeah.
off the top, or through deception or illicit means or whatever, and yeah. So I'm still on the fence about which of these. It could be that it applies to both of them, Yeah. So can we let's just take a pause from the first half now that we have some intuitions about like that, and see what can we get from the Hevel Nidaf and then the Mavakshe Mavis. Hevel Nidaf, I feel like we've talked about now, which is that it doesn't last. And by the way, the word Hevel, according to Sadi Gaon, not on Mishlei, but Sadi Gaon on Koheles, Hevel means transient or ephemeral, meaning like, yeah, it's short-lived, basically. Okay, so which is like what your intuition was at the very beginning, is it's short-lived. So the question then is, what is Nidaf? Like, what does that add to it, as opposed to just saying it's Hevel? Like pummeled or thrust, I think is the word I was looking for earlier, like thrust aside, vapor that's thrust aside. In other words, it's all like the imagery I'm getting here is if you have like, let's say steam coming off of a hot beverage, okay? So that steam already is going to dissipate, but if you just swat it away like that, you're like hastening the process. So it's like stuff that's already going to be going away, but you're making it go away even faster by like hitting at it. And then what's the Mavakshe Mavis, seeking death? That's a very vivid, and who's the seeking death? How do we read this? Yeah, like,
It sounds to me like,
I'll say Eli because we have an Ellie here. Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
it sounds to me that they both, really mean the same idea, like go based on the same idea, which is basically like you're wasting your time,
Okay.
on nothing.
Right. So I think that's actually a good reason why. Okay. So I was thinking the same thing, and then I realized that Hevel is going to mean that you're wasting your time because you're not getting anything. Mavakshe Mavis sounds like even worse, that you're going to harm yourself.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Meaning that death is going to come from here. I'm kind of making the assumption that this is talking about the Poel Otzeros, the guy who's trying to do this. He's going to end up harming himself. So not only is he going to, in other words, if it was just he doesn't get any money, so fine, you end up like at a, either where you started or like at somewhat of a loss. But if you're actually like endangering yourself, that's a different type of risky business. Like if you did, not you, if you did I was thinking of like the military thing, right? So in the US,
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it depends on where they are, but I'll use another example. Like, let's say like the state of New York or city of New York is like doing a construction project that's taking forever and like people are skimming off the top. That's a very different thing than if you get involved with like the mafia, or like with the like trying to like rip off like the cartel or something like that. Like certain cases you just lose out. Other cases you actively endanger yourself, and that's always a risk, because if you upset the wrong person.
Great example.
Yeah.
War. War is a money-making machine.
Mhm.
That's why they call it the war machine. Right?
Yeah.
And when you look at like a lot of wars, like Afghanistan, right? Like,
Yeah.
There's so much to say in evidence, and I'm of this opinion myself, that ever since World War II, and what we discovered, and every country does this, to discover that like, oh, that's how we became rich. Is
Yeah.
through, like the funding of. So it became an incentive to have narratives that we give the public.
Yeah.
So being the checker here.
Yeah. Oh, that's good.
about,
Yeah.
We're doing this for this noble pursuit or something. But in and
Yeah.
of itself, it's a spiral that eventually the nation can't help but continue.
Yeah.
It has to keep it going in order to keep funding itself,
Mhm.
and it just destroys the country ultimately.
Right. So the word that you used that I like the most is narrative.
Yeah.
Okay, because I was also I was picturing for Lashon Sheker, like you lie to somebody to trick them into doing something, like to invest their money or whatever, you know, which I guess is what you're saying. Like crafting a narrative is a much more subtle form of lying that could be used to, you know, to pull something like this off, you know, like to try to justify the costs, you know. Yeah, I mean, this also happens with I think schools where like they basically say that they need a lot of money for various things, which, you know, and convince people that it's necessary for the education, but it's not really like, you know, necessary. I don't really have any concrete examples, so it's not going to help.
Yeah, there's just a moral, there's a huge moral responsibility on any time. Like even like with these guys, like whenever I mention like things that I like that I'm into,
Yeah.
It's myself being crypto, right?
Yeah.
Like everyone's knee-jerk thing is like, okay, what do I buy?
Right.
And I'm like, listen, I can't like it's not ethical for me to just be like, oh, buy that. Unless I say there's a good disclaimer like this is what I would do.
Right.
But like you have to like take
Right.
responsibility for the decision and look into it.
Yeah.
And, you know, have your own basis for why.
Right. Should we look at some of Farshim? I mean, I feel like, or should we like try working these to their conclusions? I feel like we can go either way here. Like, in other words, if we do Mefarshim now, we might finish this pasuk today. And I'm not particularly wanting to go on this pasuk tomorrow. I don't know if anyone else feels like that. I kind of want to start a new one tomorrow, but don't let me pressure you. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So let's just look at some Mefarshim here. Because I feel like the Mefarshim are definitely going to say what take like this type of approach. So I only looked at a few so far. I looked at Ralbag Yona. So let's do Ralbag Yona, who really starts on the next page.
I've been liking Ralbag Yona so far.
He's very good. Yeah, Ralbag Yona is up there in the Mishleic rankings. Okay, so the first word on the line is maves. He just quoted the pasuk. There's no Ralbag Yona on the previous one. Hine ha'otros kamot asher tidefenu ruach. So the storehouses are like chaff that is blown away by the wind. So this is a quote from Tehillim Perek Aleph. Okay, I think about the wicked, not Otros, just I think it's a reference to the Russia. Ki mikre kal ya'abdim, which means that a slight disturbance, like a mikre is a occurrence and kal is light, ya'abdim will destroy them. Okay, means very fragile. It's being held together by very, very, you know, in a very fragile way. Just one little thing, like House of Cards, Marshall is a good one. They will not benefit their owners. They will destroy them and kill them. Otros mevakshim moso v'rodfim mapalas. Okay, so this is good. The storehouses seek his death and chase after his ruin. Kamosha kasu ki evan mikir tizak. That's from Chavakuk. Which I don't know what that means. So what it's saying though is that basically it's personifying the storehouses, that you think that you're accumulating wealth, but those storehouses are trying to kill you. It's basically saying that the storehouses, or I wouldn't even say slave. I would say they are like assassins that are waiting to assassinate you. You know, like the killing you thing. You know, like it's only a matter of time. And then he quotes Ralbag Yona from Shari Tshuva here. Look at footnote 12. So first he quotes the full pasuk. From Chavakuk, Evan Mikir Tizak Ukafis Me'et Ya'anana. I gotta look that one up. Chavakuk 2:11. Chavakuk.
That like the same. That's not the same as Mikra.
Yeah, Mikra, like Sukkim, you mean,
Like,
is
Mikra.
yeah. This is Mik. Oh, it might actually be that. Mikir, it might be Mikra, like a happenstance. Let's see, 2:11. So he says, for a stone will cry out from the wall, and so Kira's wall, and a silver will answer it from the beam. I have no idea what that means. Okay. and a silver will answer it from the beams. And then the next pasuk, which is quoted in the footnote, woe to him who builds a city with bloodshed and establishes a city with iniquity. Okay, I don't know what this means, but let's look at the Ralbag here. So he says, Shari Tshuva Gimel Chavdad. So this is from Ralbag's book, Shari Tshuva, V'amar Shlomo HaMelech Alav Shalom, Al Otros HaMirma HaOna'a. Shlomo says about treasuries of deceit and theft. Pol Otros B'lashon Sheker Hevel Nidaf Mavakshe Mavas. Pirish. This means Otros HaMirma HaOna'a, treasuries of deception and cheating. Hevel Nidafim. They are thrust aside vapor. Ki achrisam lakilya. Their end is for destruction. The odam birshuso, and while they are in your possession, sorim heimlo, they afflict him, they afflict the owner. Umavakshin nefesh baleim, and they seek out the life of the owner. Umasabavin lamos, and they cause him to die. Ukinin shamar chavakuk alav shalom, etc. Yeah. So the thing he's adding here is he's saying basically like these things, you think you're accumulating wealth. Not only is it going to go away, but before it goes away or while it goes away or when it goes away, it's going to kill you, right? So what do we get from that, like that added point there? That it's because that's like the part that we weren't really explaining. Yeah. Sure.
Is he equating otros with like some sort of miracle or not, or he's saying otros that have miracle or not?
I think he's saying otros, the treasuries that you accumulate through deception and cheating, which is how he's interpreting lashon sheker. False time. Mirma is deceit.
And what was the second one?
And
That was like fraud,
yeah,
price-taking.
yeah.
You said it was like poverty, is that like
Different. Yeah, yeah. This is ona. I'm trying to think. I don't know another word that's related.
words always do that. They're spelled slightly different, but they have a very similar meaning. Is that like a intentional? Is that like always like that? Like, it's like, oh, it's not
If
the
you
same
ask Rav Hirsch, then he says that it means that they originated from the same source, and he tries to relate all the shorashim with similar sounding letters. But I don't know if that's substantiated by linguists now. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, in certain cases, it definitely is. Yeah. Yeah, so Paul Otsaros Biloshon Sheker, Hevel Nidaf Mavakshim. So let's just try to succinctly state an idea for Rabbeinu Yona there.
Can you repeat like the last thing you said though before?
Yeah, that Mavakshe Mavis means that you should view these treasuries as though they are trying to kill you. You know?
Right, but you said something about like also like not only at the end, but even while.
Yeah, meaning not only will you end up losing them, but either like after you end up losing them or while you are trying to accumulate them, then they will kill you, you know? Yeah, so I mean, I feel like this is very close to the approach we were taking. So in some cases they will literally kill you, but I think that it's there's a general rule that the Meiri says in Mishlei that when it says chaim and mavis in Mishlei, it often means chaim often just means like lots of good stuff and success, and mavis means harm and loss and ruin. Yeah, exactly.
I would translate it loss.
Yeah, loss is right, but it's using an intentionally like charged word of death to make you realize like you could, let's say for example, let's say like you are let's say you go bankrupt, right? So like that could be, I mean, like, because I'll say that a poor person is like a dead person, you know, but like you could get into a very dire situation where it doesn't like literally like slit your throat, but like you're on the streets, or like you can't feed your family. So it is using this, I think, just to underscore how severe it could be.
Also, there's the aspect that when a lot of these things, because it's done through falsehood, you didn't just lose your money, you're losing your reputation.
Right.
You become known as a liar.
Exactly.
You
Yeah.
can't get out of that hole.
Right.
So it has an impact.
So it is dead. It kills. Yeah. It assassinates your reputation. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So one of the interesting things about this that I think is a good Mishleic like way of delivering tochacha here is the guy who's doing this thinks he's being the sneaky one that is like getting one up on the people who he's tricking, but really his own bank account is doing that to him. You know, his own bank account is really going to kill him, and he's going to check it and there's going to be nothing there, you know. In the like you do have cases like this also where, I mean, I know it's not so common unless it's like a really big fraud thing, but they freeze your assets, you know. And like you suddenly can't like even make your getaway because you can't access your own like bank accounts, you know. So yeah, what was that, Mati? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, right. Or another example, I think, another good documentary about this. This was a long time ago with the Enron there's a good documentary called The Smartest Guys in the Room, and it's about the Enron I don't know if you call it a scandal, or like, these people who like in this company that cheated like mass amounts of people out of tons of money, and then they all got, almost all of them got what they deserved. But yeah.
John McAfee, I think he's another guy.
Oh yeah.
The guy who like the McAfee like thing on your computer.
Oh yeah.
Like,
He was a weird guy, right?
Yeah, and the funny thing is like he got into Bitcoin really early on, but the way he did it, like,
Yeah.
he started telling people like these outrageous like price goal, like predictions.
Yeah.
Oh, Bitcoin's gonna like to get people into it so you can stuff.
Yeah.
But it ended up being right, like even though he himself didn't, he was like doing it for the sake of just like selling and calling it off on other people. But yeah, he's a pretty notorious guy for that.
Yeah, I mean, he also got involved in a lot of other sketchy things.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Yeah. The question that's bothering me most is actually your question, which Ellie's question, which is like Ellie Board's question, that we have other pasukim in Mishlei like this that basically warn you not to engage in trickery and deceit in order to make money. So I feel like we do need a chidush here. We need some new insight or some nuance here. Until we get that, then I'm not fully satisfied. And again, like the pasuk is like crying out chidushim because of the nuances. Pol otros we've never seen before. Hevel nidaf is a very specific mashal. Mavakshim mavis is very evocative. So I feel like we're like 90% of the way here, but there's like a 10% like chidush thing that we're not getting. Yeah, Jakob.
Just an aspect. Maybe it's because he's using otro, so he's not just wherever his scheme is, it's not just dependent on him and his reputation and thing. It's like he's taking his gains and then putting them somewhere external.
Yeah.
He's relying upon that.
Uh-huh.
Maybe he thinks it's since
Storing it up.
Here that
Offshore accounts.
it's stable.
Yeah,
It's
right. Yeah, that's interesting. Right. So yeah. So okay, I like that idea. So the idea you're saying is that there is a separate illusion. Like, in other words, the guy who breaks into a house and steals something, so that obviously runs risks of getting caught, but he has the object, But when you are stealing so much that you are storing it away, it gives you a feeling of invulnerability and security that this is a permanent accumulation that I have, and blinds you to the fact that it could be like, taken away or dissipate or seized or whatever these circumstances that we're saying are,
Right.
See, I also, I also still want to explore your original thing with like the guy who works at the Otsar, because I do feel like that was another route that lent itself to chidush, Like, I do feel like this does happen. Again, maybe just mafia's on my mind, but like, or cartel, like if you are working for someone who's moving large amounts of money, I'm sure these guys, especially like if they're recruiting yeah, like there are going to be people who will skim because they're going to say no one's going to notice this, And the funny thing is, like, it's the guys who are involved at the top of these schemes who really are going to care about it the most, that people are trying to take advantage of them, and are going to like retaliate, It's like the opposite. In other words, it's the opposite of what the person thinks. Like the person thinking there's so much here that no one's going to notice if I just take like, a little bit of gold dust or whatever, and that's the thing that because you're dealing with someone who is, priding themselves on having that much money, they're going to retaliate the most. Yeah. Yeah. That would be a real Mavakshim Mavis. You're really like endangering yourself there. Yeah. Yeah.
So in that idea, I think a lot of this is why I asked before if it was just at the end or even killing you. It's almost like it's killing you while you're doing it.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of examples of this, like your idea of skimming on the top.
Yeah.
Or there's a saying of hitting your own supply.
Yeah.
Supply in like in the drug dealing world where like these guys, they use a little bit of it. Eventually, it becomes so consuming for them they can't help become addicted to a product.
Right.
But it's every one of these things, it's very much like heat. Heat and naturally it's drawn to cold.
Yeah.
Dissipates. And the more cold, the quicker kind of like your idea of the steam. And it's like, okay, this is a slippery slope.
Yeah.
Once you start doing this, like in the case of skimming, it's not just you doing it.
Right.
Everyone thinks you're the clever guy. By the time you get to the top,
right,
it's magnified. It's like, of course,
right,
this guy's gonna notice.
Yeah.
So you're going into a game that you not only cannot get out of, but it pulls you in more
Right.
you get further than you can.
Yeah, so that's another thing also that we didn't mention, because in the case of the false stones, then it does kind of lend itself to just set it and forget it. But here, it's very easy to tell yourself you're just going to do it once, and then you get addicted to the stealing, especially when you don't get caught. You know, and then you make it into a racket, and then like you hire other people to do it, and then they get late. You know, like so many different ways that it could go south because you become addicted to stealing.
Right.
Yeah. I just want to mention, even though I don't really want to come back to this puzzle tomorrow unless somebody gets like a like revolutionary idea, but I want to mention Ralbag still takes this pasuk in line with the themes of the last ones, that it's about thinking. Okay, and he has a cool shot, which is he says, I'm just going to actually read it really quickly. He says, Rabos b'devar Poal otros Rabos b'devarim hayunim b'haschala kozeves. So this is someone who creates treasuries in theoretical matters, in like matters of intellect, with a false premise. Okay, a haschala kozeves is a false premise. Hine hahaschala asher aleha nivnu hi hevel b'davar nidaf. That one premise that you build all these ideas on is like vapor that's pushed aside. It can't stand at all. Those storehouses, they are snares of death and loss, because you will not merit eternal life. And they themselves are vapor that is nothingness. So his idea is, he's saying that if you build like this whole like intellectual edifice, like this whole philosophical system on a false premise. So it's very nice that you have a whole system, but if it's built on a false premise, then the whole thing is worthless. And that's what happens with people in philosophy or in religions or in like their ideologies in general, is you could have the most airtight logic in the actual system, but if it's built on a false premise, then it's going to be, then it's worthless, you know?
Sound, but not valid.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Okay, all right, so let's stop here, and then we'll see if we can come back to it. Or if we have something worth coming back to, we'll come back to it for tomorrow. Okay.
Thank you.